Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very honored to be in the city of Ljubljana today. It's my first time that I am in Slovenia. It's a beautiful city. It's neat and clean, and it's really has a good made a good presentation on me. My presentation is about health and safety, about risk assessment, about tools and measures. And Lorenzo Munar told about the orodja tool. And that idea was born behind a desk. It was my desk. I think some 10 years ago, when I got a visit from the Labor Inspectorate. And the Labor Inspectorate was complaining about SMEs, complaining about micro-enterprises which didn't comply with the legislation. And we were thinking about it, and we said to each other, yes, why? Why do they not comply? Because of the administrative burdens, because they don't understand it, because we don't have the look and feel for small and medium-sized enterprises. So I'm going to talk about the idea behind the orodja tool, behind health and safety, behind the measures. It's about awareness and it's about information. The Netherlands is a particular country, a very specific country. In the north of the continent of Europe, neighbor of Germany, in the south, neighbor of Belgium, and close to Luxembourg. And the Netherlands had, some 10 years ago, a very, very big problem. We were the sick man of Europe. Germany had also been the sick man of Europe. We recovered very well. We managed to do it also very well, but Germany is better. But what was it all about? We had 1 million people disabled or partly disabled. We had an absence sick leave of almost 10%, some 10 years ago. 10%. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Ruud Lubbers, by then concluded, we are sick, we are very sick, and we have to do something about it. And so, when Igor raised his wallet, yes, it has to do with money. It did cost us very, very much money. So, we designed a new system. And the system is, and that is rather unique in the world, not in Europe, but also in the world. We designed a system that companies are responsible for the loans, for paying the loans of their worker for 2 years, 24 months, if the worker is sick. 24 months. And it was made difficult to be disabled, at least, to get paid for it. It was made more difficult. But 24 months, and then you have to do it as an employer. You have to do it very, very well, because if you make a mistake in those 24 years, but the 24 months, but not fulfilling the legal obligations, then it can be prolonged by 12 months, so 36 months. But the majority of the cases, 24 months. That's the idea, that's the specific situation now. And by then we started to work on health and safety, because it came in the interest of companies to get their workers healthy and to let them stay healthy. And we managed to do that very well. Now we are talking about an absence sick leave about 4% and injuries about 3%. And that absence sick leave is included government sector, and municipal sectors. And if we look at the private sector alone, it's about 3%. So 1/4 of the sickness absence sick leave is due to the situation in the government and municipality sectors. Those are the facts. And we managed to do this by cooperation. Cooperation between workers' organizations, government, and our own employers' organizations. That's how we manage it. And so we developed that tool. In the beginning, Dutch tool. We decided to let it be a digital tool, and we decided to develop it. And we cooperated with TNO, as Lorenzo told us, and informed us. And it was very worthwhile. And now it's a worthwhile tool. It's sector-wide used tool. In the retail, in the business sector, in the healthcare sector, almost everywhere. So we are very proud of it. But it is about the look and feel. It is about not the legal obligations. It's about how we look at companies. Do we understand their business? Do we understand employers? Do we understand workers? And if you turn to that idea, then it becomes much easier to comply with what originally was meant by legislation. And of course, employers and workers are aware. Of course they are aware. But they don't know, often they don't know how to do it. How? Give them the tool. And we'll handle the job, like Churchill said in the Second World War to the United States. And this is true for many cases, in many cases, it's also true in health and safety. To be aware of what the other partner is thinking, is what he is doing, to be interested in. The information. Yes, information is important. Information between and by branch and sectoral organizations. MKB the Netherlands consisted of about 180 sectors and branch organizations. 180. Health and safety institutes. They are also involved in health and safety tools, health and safety measures. And they also want to know, what is it about? What is it about risk assessment? Employers' organizations. We are a central employers' organization. MKB the Netherlands, VNONCW, and also for the agricultural sector, LTO Netherlands. And also the workers' organizations. And the workers' organizations are also interested in their health. But health is not which is existing, just somewhere existing. You have to work on it. Awareness and prevention. W.M.J.M will talk about prevention this afternoon from the Luxembourg point of view. And as you see, awareness creates a culture of prevention. Is it always and everywhere? You have to work on it. You have to be aware of the risks. And if you understand the risks, if you are interested in what you're doing, then you can work on a culture of prevention. And that's not easy. That's far from easy. It's a difficult, very, very difficult job. It's work that has to be done by, it's handwork. Prevention can be supported. Prevention must be supported. And we're talking about the regulatory framework. Yes, that gives some direction. to work on, but still it is work that has to be done by hands. About action programs. Action programs, we can design action programs. We can design the most beautiful action programs, but we have to do it ourselves. We have to think about it. How can we do it? What do we need? Do we need tools? Do we need measures? Do we need to talk to people? Do we need to talk to experts? Do we need the involvement of experts? European strategies. The idea behind the European strategy is that health and safety is very important for competitiveness in the European Union. To maintain health and safety, a healthy workforce. And that's easy to say, but you have got to work on it. What is healthiness? And, as I already said, branch and sector. Also, they are also aware, but they often don't have the tools, and that's what the idea behind it. We managed to develop the tool, not by our own, but in cooperation with many others. And let's not forget, when does prevention succeed? If we focus on companies. Do not focus on legislation. Legislation, that's easy to focus on, and it's always an excuse. But if we are taking prevention seriously, focus on companies. Focus on, and companies do exist, of employers and workers. They are the ones who can work on prevention, and no one else. Can be supported by other things, but they can work on it. They can be supported by tailor-made tools and instruments. Once again, that's also orodja, also a tool. Later on I'm going to talk about some instruments which can be made by employers and employees representatives. But prevention, if you look at it, tailor-made tools can support it. And workers and employers have to do it. And it's all about work for a level. Health and safety is work for a level. It's not about, not again about legislation. It's not about rules. It's not simplifying rules. It has to be done at work for a level. You and me, if we work together, we have to take care of our own health and safety. And we can make use of all kinds of instruments. That's how it can work out successfully. And conditions for prevention, but also conditions for the orodja tool. Also conditions, I think, for any instrument. It's just about common sense. It's not about complex things. And we have just to use our common sense. We have to work together. What is it all about? What do we have to do it? How can we do it? About understanding business and work. What's the kind of work they are doing in the retail sector? What kind of work are they doing in the business sector? What kind of work are they doing in the business services? And if you think about that, then again, we understand the business and work. We are able to understand business and work. And then, if we're doing that, we do have a basis. We have to have a basis for understanding, for mutual understanding, and we can work on tools, we can work on health and safety, and we can really come further. Usefulness is a must. We can design the most beautiful tools, the most attractive tools, costly, well designed, but if we cannot use it, if it's too complex to understand, then no one will use it. no one will use it. And usefulness is a must. So, by designing tailor-made solutions, it has to be really tailor-made. Tailor-made means useful, well-designed for the customer. And again, about cost awareness. And that counts for small and medium-sized enterprises, but also for large companies. Costs and cost awareness are important in business. So, give them an insight that you can save costs. And of course, you can save costs if no one's sick, but the prevention of costs is important. And if you work in a company, we always have to be cost aware. We have to make profits. And if we can't make profits, we are out of business. It's as simple as that. So those four, it's not complex. It's easy to understand, and it's also easy to understand by employers and employees in small and medium-sized enterprises, in large firms. That's the basic idea behind tools and measures and health and safety. We have also challenges. In implementation of OSH legislation. And now a new European Commission is coming up, and our own Frans Timmermans, Foreign Secretary, is becoming Vice President, and he will in charge of the legislation, also OSH legislation. And he's going to look at how it can be simplified. How can we get simpler rules, simpler legislation? Just how can we comply with it? How can we make the distance between Europe, directives, and national legislation become smaller? That's important. That's important for our own position in European Union. Make it as simple as it can. Implementation of OSH legislation, but that is a challenge. That is a challenge. Second challenge is the prevention of work-related diseases. Yes, there are work-related diseases. I don't know whether repetitive strain injuries is a work-related disease. It can be a work-related disease. But by using cell phones, by using computers, and by using it our free time, and by using it in different places, there can be some doubt whether this repetitive strain injury is caused merely by the work or by our private lives. So we have to bring our private lives and our work lives in balance. That's the task for workers to see at it. We have to be fit for the job. But nevertheless, it can also be a result of the work you're doing. Now, these 2 years are about psychological diseases. And of course, that happens. And it happens, and we have to see it, that it happens. But then again, don't make it too complex. Just look at what people are doing. Just look at the work they are doing, and look at how they can prevent it. With so many experts from universities, from colleges, psychiatrists, psychologists, people in training institutes who can help. And nevertheless, it has become a very, very big problem. At least it seems to be a very big problem. But let's realize ourselves that we have to be very strong to compete with other countries, to compete with Asia, to compete with South America, to compete with the flexible labor market of the United States of America. And let's not become Europe. the old Europe, which is suffering from psychological diseases, which is suffering from all kinds of diseases, and it is suffering from diseases which do not merely are merely caused by the work, but also caused by our complex lives. Let's see to it and let's fight against it. Third challenge is the demographic change. We're getting older, and the population in Europe is getting older. And that's a threat to Europe. That's an economic threat. The young population of Asia, the flexible labor market of the United States of America, the young population of China, South America, and then Europe. We cannot make it happen to let Europe squeezed by the other continents. And the demographic change is a challenge. We're healthier than our parents, and we can stay healthier for a longer time than our parents. We are born healthier, so we can work longer. And let's find your instruments and find a way to actually make it happen. There's a demographic change, but that's not about 65, 60, 55, and in fact that's the end of our working life. No, we can do more. Change is important, and we always have to adjust to change, and also we have to adjust to demographic change. And if we're doing that, we can overcome this challenge. Key objectives. Strategy is a tool, or as a tool, but strategy is a tool. What do we want? What do we want to accomplish? What's in the long run in our interest? What should we do? That's about partnerships. It's about what the company wants, but the company depends on what the shareholders want, what the employer wants, the workers, what the workers want. It's a matter of cooperation, strategy as a tool. We often talk about SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, when we mean micro-enterprises. And the majority of the companies in the European Union is small and medium-sized. The majority. 2/3 of the companies small and medium-sized. In fact, they're micro-enterprise, less than 10 workers. So they're the rule, not the exemption. We have to adjust in our tools, in our means, in our support to SMEs. And if we design tools, legislation, strategies for SMEs, they can also be of a great help to larger companies. I said it once before. Simple and understandable rules. Support and facilitate. That's about it. Don't make it too complex. Make it understandable by workers and employers, and also by government, by everyone who's involved. They have to work on it, and you have, and the hairdresser with 5 workers has to understand it, and a butcher has to understand it, and a grocer has to understand it, and a technician has to understand it. Key objective, as I said, aging, and with aging and new risks. But new risks are also not about aging. They can be linked to aging, but they can also emerge from development of work. We're doing our work differently than 30 years ago. So we have to see what is it all about, our new way of work, and which risks do emerge from the new ways of work. Occupational diseases. We in Holland do not have a list. We in the Netherlands do not have a list of occupational diseases. We have an entirely different system of social security than in the rest of Europe. And some of you may think, well, they're out of their mind in the Netherlands. 24 months paying the loans of the involved workers, not having a list of occupational diseases. And we got questions from China, we got questions from the United States, we got questions from Japan, and they didn't understand it, that we had such kind of social security system. But it's working well. That's one thing. And that is that small and medium-sized enterprises are complaining. And they say, well, and now we have risks in which the worker has caused. Skiing accidents, motor accidents. And do we have to pay for it? But again, then again, there are insurance companies who are insuring the risk. But it's, in fact, it's a discussion in the Netherlands. Key objective is cooperation. Is cooperation employers, workers, government. That's on every level. That's on central level, in the Social Economic Council, between government, workers and employees. That's on in the Labour Foundation, between workers' organizations and employers' organizations. That's on company level. We always have to cooperate. And that's business. We cannot do it alone. Business is cooperation. There's no success without cooperation. And so also not in health and safety. Tools and instruments. Of course, we have to design digital tools. Tools which can be downloaded on cell phones, tools which can be downloaded on our computers, home computers. That's easy to understand. Communication is very difficult. Communication and information sector-wide, that's difficult. Because we have so many sectors. And they all having a different kind of work. And they all having their different kinds of communication. But if you want to succeed, we have to focus on the way they communicate, not the way we want to communicate. This also for a central employers organization, we have to understand the business of our members. And communication in the automotive sector, in the retail sector, in the business service sector, in the retail and in the hotel sector. All kinds of different communication, all kinds of different risks, of course. But risks and communication, link them together and you can gain success. The wallet again. Yes, it's about costs and it's about financial funding. And as Lorenzo stated earlier this morning, this project, OIRA project, the digital tool we designed originally, would never have happened without the cooperation, without the financial support of the Ministry of Social Affairs and Employment in the Netherlands. They started initially with funding. Not large funding, but the beginning was made. And we gained success. And then we saw, well, it's what we're doing. We are moving in the right direction. And they supported some more finances. And then the sector and branches were asked to co-finance. And they were able to co-finance because success was at stake. Success was involved and we saw success. Think about the absence leave, sickness leave of 4% and 10% 10 years ago. So it was in their interest also because of the social security system in the Netherlands. Financial supporting by the ministry, as already said, once again, would never have happened if there was no financial funding, and also on company level. You have to do something for it. So you have to finance it a little bit. It's not too much, but a little bit. And at least they got the idea, we finance it, it's our own tool, and we can, if it's our own tool, we are able to make a success of it, and it's our own interest as a company to keep our workers healthy and safe. And on the long run, it's in the company interest because of the attraction to it on the label market. Can workers, employers, can they do it all by themselves? No. Coaching is involved. Training, education, coaching. But don't patronize them. Do not patronize them. But be a coach. Be a partner of an employer. Be a partner of the worker. Show them how to do it. Find a way to convince them. And that's not easy, but coach them in that direction. And if you coach them in that direction, you get results. The last bullet point is about agreements. Agreements in the sector. Agreements in the branch. Then I'm talking about it's also born out of cooperation, born under the new legislation, health and safety legislation in the Netherlands. What was the fact? In about 2007, the health and safety legislation was evaluated in the Social Economic Council. And Social Economic Council is a room, government, workers, employees, employers. So we are opposite the workers. And well, the first discussion we started, legislation is difficult. We cannot comply with legislation. It's too expensive. Workers are always sick, always complaining. Workers, well, it's not our fault. Health and safety conditions are not in order. It's always about money. Well, government said, well, it's the legislation, but it's legislation which has been approved by the Parliament. And now we had the evaluation. We said, can't we do something else? Then the idea was born to simplify this legislation. Simplifying legislation meant that that the legislation would be focused on goals. The means were to social partners. And the means how to comply with the goals of legislation were set out in health and safety catalogues. Health and safety catalogues. Nothing more, nothing less than agreements between workers and employers on branch level, how to comply with legislation. Why branch and sector level? Because we didn't want to take away the responsibility of a company to comply with legislation in the way he wants it. He can always do it in his own way. But we helped him, employers and workers on branch level, we have worked him how to comply with it. And we've now some 150, I think 160 labor, health and safety catalogs. Again, that is a success. And if you look at it, it's not about complexity. It's not about patronizing. It's not about legislation. It's about a bottom-up idea. A bottom-up idea, give them a workflow level. That's what health and safety is all about. Give them the opportunity to design the tools to help individual companies to comply with health and safety legislation, to comply with the goals of health and safety legislation. I think I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.